You don't need 100 different templates to reach 110 on the Duolingo English test. You really only need about 5 stories. Whenever you see a question on the Duolingo English test and it doesn't quite match that template, you freeze, you start to stutter, and you genuinely get lost. Recently, I had a DET student who thought he spoke for about a minute when I showed him a picture. In reality, this student talked for about 2.5 minutes. Then I gave him a completely different question. Describe a time that you showed leadership skills. This is a common question you might find on the Duolingo English test. He used the exact same story again. It was a different angle, but it was the exact same story, and it was a story from an experience that he had in his life. Now, that's the method. A lot of people, they're looking for scripts. They're looking for templates they can use to repeat over and over. But you already have the templates and you already have the scripts. Because when you look for templates and you look for scripts online, that sets you up for rigidity. It means there's no flexibility. Because suddenly, nothing seems to fit like it did before. You're trying to remember, not actually think in English. And under time pressure, your brain starts to shut down. And that's because your brain, it can't think of ideas, words, and keep them all together at the same time while trying to remember word for word the template or script that you found online. And that last one, that kind of breaks everything. It stops your thought process and it keeps you from moving forward. It keeps your score down. It ultimately stops you from getting into the university of your dreams. Now, the students that score really high, they don't do this. They use one of their 5 stories and they adapt it according to the topic or the picture that they see. And the easiest way that they do this is by connecting their experiences to their real life. I have a student who needed 105, and every time he took the test, he would get very, very stressed and he couldn't continue. One day, I specifically brought business prompts, and this student, he excels when he speaks at business. So even though the DET shows him 105 score, the student, his score is closer to somewhere around 115. The test, it's not showing him that connection, so he can't speak freely like he does with me in class. Now here's the important part. The DET topics, they're not random. They follow the same themes again and again. Education, work, technology, health, society, and personal experience. That's it. 6 different topics. The test looks very, very wide. It looks like there is a lot of information for you to learn. But when you start to peel it back, the test is actually pretty narrow. So instead of looking for 100 different templates and prompts to memorize and study, you need to develop 5 personal stories, and you need to modify them so that you can use them in any situation that appears on the Duolingo English test. One good story that you can use again and again is a personal success story. That's something that you achieved because you put in a lot of work, time, and effort. Not something easy. Make it something difficult so you can have the different steps in your mind ready to present to the exam. That one story, you can use it for any number of questions on the Duolingo English test, and you can also use it for photos. That story, it can talk about a goal that you achieved. It can also talk about something you learned, or it could even show up as a leadership question. Now, here's the important part. You can't just tell the same exact story again and again and expect your score to go up, because Duolingo looks at context. Can you understand in context what the question's asking you? And can you modify your answers to match that context? You need to make each story different way of answering the question. And really, that's why this works. It works because your brain, it's not looking for new words, new ideas all at once. You're taking your idea from your language, from your life, and you're transferring it over into English. And once you're talking about what you already know, speaking for 90 seconds or writing for 5 minutes, that becomes a piece of cake. The test, it's not checking your knowledge. Instead, it's checking whether you can speak or write about a topic. If you're preparing for the Duolingo English test right now, spend today building your 5 stories. Make them specific, make them detailed, but most importantly, make them about you. If you liked today's video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel so you can see the new videos I make every week. And before you go, I left something for you in the description. if you're taking your test in the next 6 weeks and you need to get a score of 120 or 130. You can click the link in the description to book a free diagnostic session with me and go through each and every section of the exam to help you build your perfect stories and get the score that you need.